So, I typically like to do how to play episodes on characters that I dream summon in an effort to help me get more value out of spending 24 USD on a new Halidom resident, but apparently I forgot about one I did a while back because the character in question is just that useful on her own. Sometimes. Grace, the Wistful Widow, is a 5-star Shadow Staff who was extremely selfish when she first showed up and demanded an entire banner for herself. Either that, or she just doesn't like Belina. Grace and her husband were researchers for the totally not evil Syndicate, working to fuse dragons and humans to kinda replicate what the royal family does, because apparently they never read a single historical textbook, because to get dragon blood, all you need to do is honor dragons through your actions in a world that contains a primal pact stone between humans and dragons that is created when the holy dragon pierces through whoever happens to be the primal mark should one not already exist because some moron destroyed it to make a fancy weapon. Easy. But in all the excitement of trying to find a way to transform easier than that, someone forgot to check the locks on the test subjects and one of them escaped, killing Grace's husband and leaving her heartbroken. So now she's taken what she believes to be the next logical step and seeks to be killed by the same individual who killed her husband. And no, you didn't miss a step in logic. No rational person thinks this way. But she has the best death prevention measures we've ever seen, and if she thinks Aldred might not kill her, she might not stick around. Anyway, as a staff, Grace has what passes for a standard attack, shooting off little orbs of not light to fend off enemies before they can kill her before Aldred does. But instead of the typical death laser, Grace has a custom force strike that drains health from her target into herself and also revokes one of the target's buff privileges. It's really useful as long as you don't need to be anywhere for the next 20 minutes. Anyway, the reason that Grace is so useful is that, completely unrelated to the Morin who broke our primal pact stone, she knows how to use the rite of the blood casket, although she calls it Sorrow's Requiem. By performing the rite, she helps prevent the ultimate DPS loss by almost committing the ultimate DPS loss, sealing away the HP of the entire team behind a shield made of her own HP. Her second skill is also quite useful. By doing the Auspex's job for her, Grace offers up an earnest prayer that raises everyone's defense, and even though it's the biggest defense buff we've ever seen, that doesn't actually matter because it just exists to trigger double buffs like her third ability, that begins healing her back after she's performed the blood casket. I should also mention that if Grace lacks the HP to, survive the blood casket ritual, she'll just do an indifferent prayer instead for more defense buffs. Having a super force strike and all, it only makes sense that Grace would be able to show others a thing or two to improve their own. And since Grace doesn't want to die to anyone but Aldred, she has a bunch of fragile yet sizable shields that she hides behind whenever she performs the blood casket. She has enough to share with the team, but she only likes to share them with people who look like they could be dressed for a funeral because her husband died and that's sad and now she wants to die too, and I did mention that she's not exactly following a rational chain of logic, right? Oh, and apparently Syndicate members and test subjects also get complimentary blind res. It's part of the uniform. Now, as for equipment, Grace has her own staff that technically belongs to the Ilian Church, but she shares a namesake with it and doesn't want to give it up. The best dragon we've been able to pair her with is Taishan Gonzu, who has a husband and can comprehend the widow's lament. Although I think a dragon like Fubuki would be far better to cheer her up. In fact, let's give Grace a whole bunch of things to brighten up her day. A cat, a dog, a festival, yet another prayer, Ancient Ray, the guy she wants to kill her, another lady with relationship issues, and a singer. I know most of those things cheer me up. In summary, Grace needs some professional help, but is herself some of the best defensive help you can get. But in the end, she's a healer without healing skills, and I stand by what I said the first time I talked about Cleo.